Right friends, welcome back to newspaper editorials discussion. In fact, today this was disrupted in the morning at 11 o'clock because of some problems, and now we are recording and uploading this lecture. It has got 4 issues. Today we are going to deliberate on 4 issues, and in fact in the Hindu editorial, the first issue is with regard to Nagaland, and we deliberated in detail yesterday by taking Economic Times article. So, I am skipping that. So, 4 things which we are going to discuss are the problems of elderly. The second point is with regard to cruel populism. Third one is with regard to oil spill near Chennai. Fourth one is with regard to Bharat QR. What do you understand by it? So, these 4 aspects we are going to deliberate. So, the first aspect which we are going to deliberate is with regard to aging with dignity, and here one important aspect I would like to tell you. Most of the international guidelines and reports basically considers the elder population as 65 plus years. Elder population in most of the international reports is stated as 65 years plus, but in this editorial, the report is based on 60 plus age group population. So, this is basically with regard to the problems faced in India for 60 plus age group population, and you should not forget certain aspects. One is children, all of you are familiar, 0 to 14 age group is children. Then the second one is working age population, the population between 15 years to 64 years globally, 15 years to 64 years are considered as working age population, and elderly population is 65 plus, right. So, India working age population is 63.4% as per 2011 census, and 2 more aspects please do not forget. Demographic dividend. Demographic dividend, what is the meaning of it? This is the meaning which conveys that the economic benefits or economic growth potential will be high for the countries which have maximum percentage of working age population of 15 to 64 years age group. So, please understand, demographic dividend means economic growth potential that stems from high percentage of working age population. Then one important ratio is dependency ratio. Dependency ratio is in the denominator you have to put working age population and the remaining population in the numerator. So, the ratio of the population of 0 to 14 as well as 65 plus in the numerator, and in the denominator working age population of 15 to 64, and this ratio is a dependency ratio. And as the countries progresses, the fertility rate falls, but the population in this bracket will increase because of advances in medical fraternity. Normally, as the countries advance, as the countries progress, the percentage of population here will increase, and because of lower fertility rates, the percentage of population here will decrease, right. So, this is Indian age distribution as per 2011 census, and if you look at 2021 or 31 census, then the population here will increase and population here will decrease, right. Then another important aspect, please look into this World Health Organization's prediction up to 2050. Here, young children and older people as a percentage of global population from 1950 to 2050 for 100 years. You see, around 1950 globally the population below 5 years is around 13%. Population below 5 years is around 13%, whereas just 5% are above 65 years. But let us look at 2050. By 2050, 65 plus age population will be around 17% and less than 5 age population will be just 7%. So, what it wants to convey? The graph conveys that fertility rates are falling steeply across the world and longevity of elderly people is increasing. So, this puts a lot of burden on the governments in future. As the older population will continue to increase in future, so the countries have to take necessary steps to protect the older population or elder population. That is the meaning which this slide conveys. Look into this slide. This talks about a 65 plus age population from 7% to 14%. This is 14%, this is 7%. Indicating this 65 plus age population in France from 7% to 14% of total population, it took almost 100 years for increase from 7% to 14% of total population. When you look at 65 plus age group in France, it took 100 years, but from now onwards, it will not take much time because of the reason medical advances and longevity is increasing. Because of these reasons, you see, with the next 20-30 years, this 7% will be reached 14% in several countries. India will also not be an exception. So, what I mean to convey is the percentage of elderly population will increase in future years to come, and ultimately it puts a lot of burden on the governments and it will become a societal problem. And you see here this 65 plus age population, that is for 2010 to 2050. You see, in 2010 in India around 60 million population are above 65 years. But when you look at 2050, in India, there will be around 220 million population 65 plus age group. So, the inner meaning of all these graphs is this elder population or 65 plus population is going to be increased, and that increase will be quite steep in the years to come, and because of that it will put a lot of strain on the governments, lot of strain on the society as a whole, right. So, now as per the article, at present 104 million people above 60 years, and by 2050 there will be elderly population of 20% of total population. As I have already told you, this indicates more than 200 million people will be 65 plus, and probably more than 300 million maybe 60 plus. Here this graph shows 65 plus. This is 65 plus, 220 million will be 65 plus, and 60 plus may be around 300 million. So, around 20% of total population will be 60 plus by 2050. Now, here old age challenges in our country. Basically, abandonment by their families. What is the reason? The reason is struggle for survival. Because of struggle for survival, the younger members are migrating to other places. They are forced to migrate to other places by leaving their parents in rural areas. And second point is inability to access quality health care. This is another problem. Elderly people are not able to access quality health care. Then destitution, no one to look after, no home, and that is the situation of destitution. Then low levels of institutional support. Institutional support is totally not sufficient, and some people below poverty line are getting old age allowance in the form of maybe 500 rupees, 1000 rupees depending on state government's contribution. But more than that, What is required is proper institutional mechanism like hospitals. So, under these circumstances, old age is going to put lot many challenges in our country. And what is the need of the hour? The need of the hour is universal or widely accessible health insurance is the first point. First and the foremost point is health insurance is the need of the hour. Then network of nursing homes, then palliative care specializations. Some of the old people may be with terminally ill diseases like cancer. When someone is afflicted with the cancer, sometimes the disease may lead to terminally ill disease. Under those circumstances, taking proper palliative care is very important, and in our country that is lacking. At the same time, life of stability and dignity to the elderly people is one more aspect. At the same time, attitudes towards aging people must be changed. So, state's intervention is very much essential in the form of insurance as well as institutional support for the age-old people. Right. Look into the second one. This is about cruel populism. Nowadays, subsequent to Brexit, several new words are making the rounds. Nationalism, nativism, not only those words, we discussed about new global order day before yesterday. Yesterday, we discussed about identity politics. Today, we are going to deliberate on cruel populism. What is the meaning of cruel populism? Please look into this. What is the meaning of populism? Populism means political ideas and activities that are intended to get support from ordinary people. So, politicians, what they are doing? They are doing free laptops, they are giving free laptops, they are giving bicycles, they are giving several other doles and Amma canteens like that. We are seeing lot many benefits given to the people, and basically by giving them what they want, politicians are trying to get support from the people. That is populism, right? So, you got clarity about populism. Then look at cruel populism. We discussed about populism. After understanding what is meant by populism, please understand cruel populism. This assumed a lot of significance after Brexit, Donald Trump, these two victories, and the next one is this Marine Le Pen is also an ultra nationalist. So, I explained you here. One is, what is the present problem? In a nutshell, if you see, the present problem across the world is joblessness, losing jobs. Nowadays, several companies, one after the other, are curtailing the jobs because of automation. Joblessness due to more and more mechanization is the real problem the world is facing. Instead of solving that real problem, actually, real solution is economic solution to come out of the problem. The real problem is automation. The real solution must be economic solution. But what the world is nowadays looking at, some of the Western countries are now looking at harsh cultural agenda. To solve economic problems, you have economic solutions. You have to have economic solutions, but instead of economic solutions, people are looking at cultural agenda. Cultural agenda. Please look into this. Harsh cultural agenda with ultra nationalism. Harsh cultural agenda with ultra nationalism, and by creating hatred at certain groups like Muslims. Create hatred and build walls to prevent some people and brand some particular religion as totally unwanted in that particular country. So, these are the policies. Basically, cultural agenda is perpetrated by some Western countries, right. So, this anti-immigration policies, nationalism, trade barriers can be imposed, there is nothing wrong, but there should be some rationality. But what the countries are doing, they are basically exposing people, or you can say precipitating a crisis by looking at this cultural tirade against some people, or you can say they are pushing harsh cultural agenda. It may not solve the real economic problems, it will compound the problems. So this type of attitude is known as crude, or you can say cruel populism. This is cruel populism. So people should not forget, this is cruel populism, right. So this word was coined some time back, and in the today's article this appeared. So this is cruel populism, right. So I think you understood the meaning of the word cruel populism and populism. Next, globalization. Who benefited because of globalization? You see, the companies, Microsoft, Google, Walmart, Facebook, IBM, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, these are all based in United States of America. Really speaking, who benefited? The Western economies are also benefited, and the world class companies are based in United States of America, and they are paying billions of dollars of taxes to the government there. And job losses are also there. They are due to mechanization in the manufacturing sector, and the problem is to be solved with rational thinking, and blaming globalization for all these ills may not be the correct solution. Then West and the globalization, if you see, for the past 30 years, they used their military footprint. Yesterday we discussed USA's forces are in more than 130 countries. Then they pressurized developing countries in the name of intellectual property rights, and some of the Western countries fixed their currencies to their advantage, and some of the countries propagated their currencies. So here one more important aspect is 8 richest persons have as much wealth as the poorest half of the global population. This is the irony of globalization, but here most of the benefits have gone to Western countries also. So West should not blame entirely globalization, because some of the world's largest companies like Microsoft, Google, Walmart are based in United States of America. And another point is rich poor gap widened, that is different story, right. So here USA and its actions since 1990s, if you see, basically United States of America invaded several countries in the name of human rights. Actually, for the past 25 to 30 years, United States of America interfered in the affairs of several West Asian countries, subsequently destabilized them, and it has got its own strategic agenda. And under these circumstances, at present, it has taken another route, that is cruel populism. So here war against countries like Iraq, Yugoslavia, destabilizing countries like Afghanistan, Syria, and declaring certain states as rogue states. So this is part of the design orchestrated by United States of America during the past 25 to 30 years. So what I mean to convey is United States of America is using its policy to its strategic interest, or you can say to fulfill its strategic interest, and globalization is one of the tools of fulfilling its strategic interests, right. So in this article it is critical about this cruel populism. Hatred should not be there against certain communities or against certain religions. Basically the problem is something else. Try to solve that problem. You should not blame everything on the immigration policies or globalization, or you cannot blame one particular religion. That is the essence of this article. Look at the next one. This is oil spill. This is one important area where the scientific analysis is not available even till date. What exactly went wrong? Nowhere it is available. And look at it. There are 12 major ports in the country. All these 12 major seaports are looked after by the Ministry of Shipping, and at the same time minor ports are within the domain of state governments. So, these 12 major ports are under the Ministry of Shipping. This is one point, and now we are going to deliberate about this Ennur port or Kamarajar port. Kamarajar port is situated near Chennai at a place 30 kilometers north of Chennai towards Andhra Pradesh. So, it is Kamarajar port or Ennur port. It is around 25 to 30 kilometers north of Chennai, and the issue is with regard to oil spill. Here there were two vessels. One is Maple Galaxy offloaded LPG at Ennur port. It is going out of port. This Maple Galaxy, after offloading LPG at Ennur port, it was going out, and another vessel, that is Dawn Kanchipuram. This Dawn Kanchipuram, that was carrying 21,000 tons of toxic heavy furnace or bunker oil. Toxic heavy furnace or bunker oil, and that is coming to the port. One is going out, that other one is coming to the port, and what happened? Both collided. Subsequent to the collision, and this 20,000 tons of toxic heavy furnace or bunker oil has spilled into the sea. This bunker oil has spilled into the sea because of collision between these two vessels. That is all about it. And subsequently, the reaction was Kamarajar Port Limited stated that nothing happened initially. The Kamarajar port initially stated nothing serious happened, and initially it was also stated by Kamarajar port that there is no damage to the environment, and there was totally trust deficit. There was a delay in informing Indian Coast Guard also. Overall, you can say the action of Kamarajar Port Limited is totally not acceptable. Then several unanswered questions are there. There is no disaster related information. After this incident, Kamarajar port is to be blamed for all the mess. There was no disaster related information. Second point is no information about the steps to be taken by the public. Steps to be taken by the public, no information. Then some news reports talk about various pollutants like lead, arsenic, but there was no report from Kamarajar Port Limited. And another important point is this sludge after the removal is again buried in the soil in the adjacent locality. That is another unfortunate aspect. So, totally inaction by various agencies is clearly evident, right. Then please look into this picture. Then subsequently, what are various guidelines? Here one national oil spill disaster contingency plan is there. National oil spill disaster contingency plan is there. It was devised in 1990s and regularly it is reviewed, and you may have a doubt, what is the nodal authority? Nodal authority is Indian Coast Guard. What is Indian Coast Guard? Indian Coast Guard is under the Ministry of Defence, and Indian Coast Guard looks at the waters, that is up to territorial waters. Even what is Indian Coast Guard? Indian Coast Guard looks at our maritime waters, and Indian Coast Guard is under the Ministry of Defence, and it is vested with National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan, right. And here you see this is the nodal authority. Indian Coast Guard is the nodal authority. At the same time, responsibilities were fixed on several departments. Each and every department is supposed to carry out the things when oil spill or something occurs in the ports, or each and every organization is vested with powers and responsibilities. Though Indian Coast Guard is the nodal authority, There are organizations like Ministry of Shipping, which looks at Kamaraj Airport Limited, Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, at the same time Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. So, these are all the organizations which are required to be coordinated with the Indian Coast Guard. And you see, what are the important points of NOSDCP? NOSDCP means, I have already told you, National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan. I have listed out various points here. You see, NOSDCP, that is National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan. This conducts review meetings. Basically, they updates the procedures with the review meetings. And another important aspect is, ports are responsible for investing in the contingency planning process in the port area. Ports are responsible. Then oil companies, whoever are loading or unloading at ports, oil companies whoever are loading or unloading at ports have to maintain tier 1 facility at port locations, and this is the key guideline to create the capability to clear oil spill up to 700 tons. So, when there is oil spill, there are clear cut guidelines, and the mechanism is to be devised by the oil companies when oil loading unloading is expected to take place at ports. So, there is responsibility on the oil companies also, there is responsibility on the ports also. So, various stakeholders are there, and all of them have committed blunder in this particular case. Then adequately trained and motivated manpower to respond to contingencies must be there. Then another point is, radar oil spill detection system must be installed at seaports and oil handling facilities. At oil handling facilities, at the same time at the seaports, this radar oil spill detection system is to be installed, and requirement of pre-booming of tankers at alongside berths. So, these are all to be taken up by various stakeholders, and almost all of the departments failed in this particular case. Then, if you look at international convention on the oil spills is looked after by United Nations Special Agency, that is London based International Maritime Organization, and this convention is there, International Convention on Oil Pollution Preparedness, Response and Coordination, which was adopted in the year 1990, came into force in 1995. Basically, countries are required to establish measures for dealing with pollution incidents either nationally or in cooperation with other countries. And there are 109 state parties to the convention, and at the same time a protocol to the convention relating to hazardous and noxious substances was also adopted. That means dangerous substances, that was also adopted in 2000 as a protocol to the convention. So, international protocol is there. Nationally, this convention is there, or you can say National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan is there with the Indian Coast Guard as the nodal authority, and several departments are there which are required to coordinate, create necessary infrastructure as I have listed out here. And in the particular case, all the departments without doubt failed, right. So, let us hope that this oil contingency regulations, or you can say when oil spill takes place, what are to be taken up, these will be implemented in future. Let us hope for better times to come. The last one is Bharat QR, calls for enhanced security. This is Economic Times editorial of 22nd February. Bharat QR, this was launched recently, and what do you understand by Bharat QR? QR means quick response code. What is the difference between quick response code as well as barcode? Quick response code is normally in the form of this squares, black and white squares. Quick response code, popularly known as QR, is in the form of this squares of white as well as black, and this contains information up to around 7,000 to 8,000 characters, whereas barcode contains information of only limited characters. Barcode characters will be limited, whereas quick response code, most of you have seen this quick response code. Please look into this. This is a quick response code. This is black and white squares, and this black and white squares mechanism can carry information up to thousands of characters, whereas barcode can carry only up to few characters. So, this QR code was started. In fact, it was the transfer mechanism for payments, and here 2-3 important points I would like to tell you. One is, this was launched with the collaboration of 4 important organizations. NPCI, you may have a doubt what is meant by NPCI. NPCI is the brain behind RuPay card. So, RuPay mechanism, Visa card, American Express, MasterCard, these 4 came together and in a collaborative way they launched this QR or quick response code. Second important point is, now with the quick response code, merchants, and basically please do not forget, this is meant for merchants or shopkeepers. At present, merchants are using POS terminals. Please look into this. This is existing system. This will be the future system. In the existing system, you have to swipe the card. You have to swipe the card in POS machine. This is POS machine, point of sale terminal. In point of sale terminal, at present, to make payments in shops, you have to swipe the card. But if you have smartphone, in future, you just have to scan the QR code, quick response code, and immediately after incorporating how much money is to be transferred, that money will be transferred to the merchant's account with the scanning of this quick response code. So, now the merchants will have other option of QR, that is quick response, right, instead of POS terminals. They can have both the facilities, nothing wrong, but for the traders who cannot afford POS machine, they can go for this type of quick response. And with the introduction of quick response, there are 2-3 advantages. First advantage is, merchants need not install this machine. Second point is, there are no issues with regard to debit cards. That means you need not carry any card. It will be scanning and payment automatically. So, here I have given, people will not suffer from card loss or card expiry problems, and this eliminates the need for POS machines at the merchant outlet. And another point is, it is a good initiative to boost digital transactions, and please understand, this is first of its kind throughout the globe. Most important point, it is the first of its kind throughout the globe. And if you look at other points here, consumer can simply open his or her banking mobile application or Beam app, then he can scan the merchant's quick response code, and subsequently one has to enter the payment amount along with the 4-digit code. Automatically payment will be transferred to the merchant account. So, amount will be directly transferred to the merchant's bank account once the transaction is completed. So, it is world's first nationwide interoperable payment service. Because of this, in future, this merchant discount rates may also come down. We discussed previously what is meant by merchant discount rate, and they are also expected to come down. Then I have explained you what is the existing system, what will be the future system, and now what are the important aspects. If you examine critically, the biggest problem is cyber security. And please do not forget, a few months ago 3 million debit cards were compromised. The meaning is the data was stolen from 3 million debit cards, and these debit cards pertain to at least 5 banks. So, when debit cards are susceptible for failure, or you can say stealing the information, then what is the cyber security we have when unveiling these types of QR codes? Then second point is, are India's telecom networks susceptible to snooping? Then next point is, do banks have foolproof systems and protocols to protect the data of the customers? Then availability of smartphones as well as availability of telecom spectrum on 24/7 basis, even in rural areas or remote areas, are the real challenges. So, the biggest challenge is cyber security, then data protection, then ensuring privacy of the individuals. So, these 3 things, and the fourth important aspect is this availability of a 24/7 basis spectrum across the country, even in remotest part of the country, is the real challenge. Right friends, we deliberated about 4 issues. We came to the end of this, and I once again express my regret for not having live discussion today. We have recorded it and uploading it. And one more information, tomorrow is holiday, that means Friday is holiday. So, the next live discussion will be on Monday 27th February, right friends. Have a nice day, thank you.